So, hello, my friends. Welcome back to my live stream as I'm going to the train station. And today, question of the day is it time to impeach Donald Trump? And I think so. I mean, regardless of what you think about politics, I think he has not kept up with any of his election promises. I mean, let's see, we had Doge. There's no Doge check coming. Not that I was counting on it or looking for it. Then we had the tariffs, and there's the tariffs checks coming. They're not coming. There's supposed to be no more wars. Any president that starts wars is a terrible president and doesn't have any negotiation skills. Well, just started a war with Iran on behalf of Israel. The prices at the store are not any lower, a little bit lower. Gas is up quite a bit because of the war, directly because of the war. So Trump was directly responsible for the hike in gas prices just now because of the stranglehold on the Straits of Hormuz, which the 33% of 30% or so of world oil goes through those straits every single day. And so, obviously, supply and demand has been affected. So, supply is short, demand is steady. So, that's where we're at. Yeah, he's not really doing anything America first. Argentina first, maybe. He bailed out Argentina, right? Remember that? He keeps sending money to Israel, keeps fighting on behalf of Israel. We're having our military die for Israel, not for the United States. So, what is he doing for the United States? I don't get it. Like, I don't understand. Like, someone who has a better grasp on maybe the conservative side, explain to me plainly, like, what is he doing for America? Like, I don't. What is he doing for us? But our healthcare costs just went up, right? For many Americans, and that's going to drive healthcare costs for everybody else. But that's not doing anybody any good. I don't see any improvement in education, right? There is no improvement in education. As a matter of fact, numerous states try to cut education by providing vouchers for private schools, which essentially drains the money from public schools that all of us in taxes, all of our taxes fund public schools, but it's somehow being siphoned off to private schools where 75% of people who go to private school already go to private school and they can afford going to private schools because they've been doing it so for years. So now they're just basically transferring money to the top 1% so they can have more money to spend on their kids, while the rest of us have to, be content with whatever we have left over in the education fund for each state, for each district. So, like down here in Florida, the voucher program is basically just it's a drain on society right now. It drains money away from public schools, and it keeps funding private schools, which are selective schools. So private schools don't have to take anybody with special needs, or they don't have to have a special ed curriculum. They can be very selective about anybody, whether it's race or gender or whatever. They can be very, very selective, right? So why should my tax money go to a school where maybe perhaps my daughter cannot attend because they don't take girls to that school? Maybe it's an all boys school, right? So why should my money fund that, right? I rather my money fund a general school fund where everybody gets the same amount of money. That is in public, meaning public schools. And if you want to go to a private school where the educational standards are different than that of accreditation standards for public schools, then that is your business, but it's also your own personal expense. But here we are. We're living in 2026, where a convicted felon and convicted sexual offender is the president of the United States. And there's about a 27% of people living in the United States, statistically speaking, that don't see a problem with a lifelong criminal being in a position where he keeps siphoning off money to himself and his family, and even their own money. They're very happy to contribute money to Donald Trump, even though they may not even have enough money to fill up their truck. I don't understand. Like, someone please explain to me the rationale behind it. I mean, is it education? Is that whole ignorance is bliss scenario here? How does that work? How does that work? I'm really confused. I mean, I know that Donald Trump probably is a shining star to some people who are maybe they hate foreigners. Okay, so maybe he's an anti-foreigner, right? He's an anti-poor foreigner. But if you are a foreigner who's willing to dish out $100,000 to get a green card, then I wonder where that money's going to. If you pay $100,000, I don't think the government gets that money. Does anybody know anybody? Has ever heard of anyone paying $100,000 to get a green card here in the United States? The gold card, the Trump card, as they call it. I don't remember hearing about any person getting that. So who is exactly benefiting from those policy changes, from this special gold club Trump card? Anyway. And now he wants more money for the war. Now he wants, we're spending literally a couple $1 billion per day on the war. We're dropping bombs like crazy. We're bombing innocent people, killing again innocent people for no reason whatsoever. Because even his own intelligence community, his own intelligence directors cannot cite in front of Congress any specific threat to the United States that was made by Iran. Right? They keep talking about this. Well, Iran wants to kill us all. Well, yeah, maybe they do, but there was no specific threat. There was a hearing, and none of the directors of security of U.S. intelligence have made any specific claims that Iran made, or cited any claims that Iran made against the United States. So, why are we in that war? What is going on? Why are we in that war? Iran doesn't have any ballistic missiles that are capable of reaching the United States. So, that doesn't make sense. Now, even if they have terrorist cells working here in the United States, we don't need them. We don't need a war to make them active. They can activate themselves anytime they want, right? So why don't we just look for these terrorists here? They're not looking for terrorists here. They're bombing a country that's, across the globe that has no way to attack us. They sure can attack Israel. The only thing that comes to mind is that Trump is doing this on behalf of Israel, right? Because for 30 years, Benjamin Netanyahu has been telling the world that Iran's got nuclear weapons and they got weapons ready to go off tomorrow or the next month or within 6 months. And it's been going like that for 6 years, 30 years. 30 years. And no president, no U.S. president was stupid enough, not one of those presidents was a fucking moron to be stupid enough to engage into war with Iran. But yet, here we go. But that's where we're at. So, I don't know. Somebody smarter than me explain why my tax money has to be spent on bombing Iran instead of, let's say, taking care of the veterans, right? the VA could definitely use a boost in funding. Like, I'd rather have my money go to the veterans than to bomb Iran. I'd rather have my money go to homeless shelters and go bomb Iran. I'd rather have my money go to public schools to prop up the bunch of schools that we have that are not performing so well. And the reason why they're not performing so well is because they've been defunded, or they've been poorly funded, mostly by Republican governors and Republican legislature, and that's why they're not functioning. But somehow we don't have enough money to help the student loan crisis in the United States, but we have enough money. Overnight we had enough money, $200 billion to drop into Iran, but yet we don't have enough money to pay for our education here, to allow our society to flourish, right? Because society is only as good as it is smart, right? If you have a bunch of, and I'm not saying that your education has to be, everyone has to have a bachelor's degree. But what I'm saying is that you should have the ability to go out and educate yourself and attain a degree that you want and pursue your dreams without getting into debt that's going to stop you from buying a car, buying a house. How are you going to be productive to society if you can't move around because you don't have enough money to buy a car, and you can't purchase yourself a home because you're paying off student loans? How are you supposed to make the country better? Like, at what point is it? I mean, not everybody wants to be a plumber, which for that you still have to go to some sort of a training, right? You can't just become plumber overnight. You gotta pass a test. You gotta do some kind of internship. There may be some programs at community colleges that work, with blue collar trades. Why don't we fund those fully? Like, I don't get it. Why can't we just fund the things that are here in the United States? And if we got people coming over from abroad that are smart people that can positively contribute to our society and our economic stance, why don't we do that? Why don't we allow people come here and contribute to the American growth? Right? There's plenty of smart people out there in the world, but they won't have a chance to contribute to the world. Maybe they're not being prosecuted for whatever reason. But here in the United States, land of opportunity. I mean, if we had an actual real opportunity for everyone to be successful, we could. But the truth is, and the reality is, that there is no opportunity for everyone. There's been a lie that there's this American dream, and it's a dream because most of us are asleep. And the lie is that if you work hard enough, if you work 3 jobs, eventually you're going to get everything you want, which is not true. It's not true. Maybe it was true, let's say in the 1990s when I was growing up. There's people who were working at the auto plants back in Detroit, where I'm from. And these guys were making good money. They were making shit ton of money to the point where they buy a house, a boat, pay for their kids' college, no problem. And they had money left over. They worked hard, but they had something to show for, right? Their families were better off. I know many people who benefited from their fathers or mothers working at one of the big 3 back then, and they were able to make ends meet. They were able to buy nice homes, 2-3 cars for their kids, get himself a boat even, and they worked hard. Same people working, same intensity, same hard jobs, and they can barely make their monthly rent. Forget about owning a house. They cannot buy a rent because we have allowed capitalism to ruin our world. We have allowed capitalism to just be rampant. Now, there's no problem with capitalism if it's checked, right? And unchecked capitalism is the exact reason why we are in this quandary right now, why people are suffering. Because we've allowed people like Zuckerberg, like Gates, to basically set the prices of everything. Bezos, right? Bezos controls freaking most of the things that are shipped in the United States, that are sold. That's Bezos, right? And all these guys are basically hoarding money, and that money doesn't even go back into the United States economy to revamp and build brand new good jobs. It goes in there to try to eliminate as many jobs as possible so that they can keep more profit. And Donald Trump is part of that problem. He's been doing that himself for years. He's been even worse because he's been cheating and lying and stealing from contractors, and everybody's been doing work for him ever since he's been Donald Trump. That's what he was famous for. If you ask contractors, and this is not like something new or something conspiracy theory. This has been going on for decades, and he's been this way. Forget the allegations about, his predatory practices and his affiliations with freaking Epstein pedophile and all that stuff. On the surface, he's just a bad businessman. He's just a sociopathic bad businessman. He doesn't give a shit about anybody. Which is what confuses me, why 27% of people are like, yeah, he's my guy. He's my guy. It's like, he's my guy. It's like, he doesn't give a flying fuck about you. He hasn't cared about anybody. He doesn't give a damn. Why would he care about the United States? Like, you can hear it in his speeches that he just doesn't give a shit. He just says random things out of nowhere, mostly lies all the time. Like, he's a compulsive liar. He'll lie. That's how he talks. He'll deny that he lied. You play a tape back to him, he says, no, I didn't say that. That's fake news. It's like, he's got an antisocial personality disorder, a sociopath, a compulsive liar, convicted criminal on more than one time, lifelong prolific scammer and a cheater, and on his personal side, cheated on every woman he's been with every other woman that he's been with. He impregnated every single of his future wives while being married to the then current wife. And he wants to talk to me about family values. He wants to show me a Bible and the staple of the Constitution to the Bible, the two things that have fucking nothing to do with each other. Where the Constitution says, forget the Bible, and the Bible says, give to Caesar what's Caesar's and give to God what's God. Like, what the fuck are you people that are listening to him? Like, are you illiterate? Have you read a thing in your life? Sorry, I'm getting frustrated again because it's just like, when you break down the entire Donald Trump MAGA movement, it's basically a bunch of illiterate fools, very smart, intelligent, cunning people. And if you happen to be one of those small town, red town MAGA folks that hasn't been anywhere, hasn't seen anything, and 50% of you have been living off of food stamps the entire time, while the Republicans have been saying, well, it's the Democrats, that's why you are in such a terrible shape, because Democrats this and Democrats that, while you're living in a red state led by Republicans for 30, 40 years, and you're still on food stamps for 30, 40 years, okay? Whose fault is that? Like, that. You don't need to be a genius. You don't need to have a PhD in economy or PhD in even fucking, I don't know, logical thinking. It's if I find myself in a position where I am down on my luck, I say down on my luck, but I'm screwed by the government, and the government keeps telling me it's not us, it's somebody else. I mean, after a while, you would think I would wake up and say, okay, yeah, something's not working. Maybe we need to try something different. But no, these people they're going to stand tall, and they're going to say, nope, it's Hillary's emails that are making me poor. It's Hussein Barack Obama, fucking his Obamacare is terrible, yet I am part of the ACA, right? I take ACA, but Obamacare is bad, but I take the ACA, which is fucking same thing. Because you don't even understand what the acronym stands for, and then the Obamacare slur that was coined by the Republicans that keeps popping up there, and these people are just like clueless. They think that other countries where there's universal health care, that they are taxed to death. No, they're not taxed to death. If they were taxed to death, they would all leave. Why do you think nobody from Europe wants to come to the United States? There was a time where Europeans were emigrating to the United States in the hopes of attaining a dream or something else, but they stopped. There's no Europeans immigrating to the United States. Do you want to know why? Ask the Europeans. They enjoy 28 days of paid vacation time, a mandatory vacation time, every single freaking year, right? That's the European Union mandate. It's like 28 days of paid vacation time. Here, after working 3 years in a company or 10 years in a company, you'll be lucky to get 3 paid vacations that you gotta work for. You gotta get those hours into work. You know, in Europe, that's it. You're done. You start a job and you go on vacation. You go on vacation. That's it. You got 28 days to use up. And if you don't, guess what? They say you can't come to work until you use your vacation time. You're paid. Get the hell out of here. Go rest. Go rejuvenate, so that you can come back as a productive worker. Same thing with healthcare. Why don't Europeans want to come here? Why? Because healthcare is so fucking stupidly expensive. I work in healthcare. There should be no reason why healthcare is so damn expensive. But yet it's freaking the most expensive healthcare in the world. It's some of the most inefficient and some of the most bureaucratically demised healthcare in the world. And in Europe, guess what? Everyone gets healthcare. Is it the best healthcare? It's okay healthcare. No one's dying because they're waiting in lines for 6 months to see a doctor. That's a lie. How do I know? Because I've been to Europe multiple times, several places. I've seen it. I had to go to a hospital once or twice. Or I had to go to a clinic. So I know it's not like I have to wait 6 months. That's a lie. There's been a lie, a Republican lie that has been circulated. And, of course, MAGA believes this nonsense. And then what about taxes? You're being taxed to death. Bullshit. You're not being taxed to death. Property taxes. You have to pay so much money in property taxes every single year. If you own a home, you're paying anywhere from $5,000 to $20,000 in property taxes per year, right? And we're talking about like an average home, right? Okay, maybe not an average. $17,000 is what I pay in property taxes every single year, which is a shit ton of money if I think about it. Thank Florida, because we have the most unaffordable freaking insurance and most unaffordable property taxes here. But in Europe, there's no property taxes of that nature. You get to keep most of that money. Yes, you pay a little bit into your healthcare fund, and guess what? Everybody in your family gets healthcare, whether you're working or not. You don't have to jump through hoops and loops to go apply for some kind of special program for the unemployed. That everybody gets healthcare. But Republicans have taught the poor MAGA white folk that the black child cannot have a health care. So that's why they keep saying that somebody's trying to steal your money and they're freeloaders. And it's like bullshit. That's fucking bullshit. The biggest bullshit that's ever been is Republican Party and their racist antics. And poor dumb MAGA believes this bullshit. And then they continue voting poor dumb MAGA. That's what they're doing. And we're never going to get anywhere until we get rid of MAGA and we get rid of that idiotic thinking. I see the only hope I see is that we need to get rid of MAGA, get rid of Trump, get rid of most of the Republicans, and then stop spending fucking money on weapons all the time and then start investing money in education. Because smart people don't go to war. Only fucking idiots go to war all the time. Because smart person can negotiate. An idiot, the only thing he's got left is his fist and his gun. That's all he's got left, because he has absolutely no ability to negotiate, no ability to structure an actual argument. His argument ends with his fist and his gun. That's it. That's as far as we go. So, and many people could benefit from just a tiny bit of education. Could save so many people's lives and could propel us into a majestic future in this country. But yet we are stuck with freaking Donald Trump, who is destroying our country day by day, who is churning out a bunch of racist and uneducated MAGA followers into a dangerous machine. And now he's got his ICE agents all over airports. Because what? He's going to control who's coming into the country now? Or who's leaving? Like, what is the purpose of ICE being in the airports? Pay the fucking DHS, pay the people at the airports, and there'll be no problem. But no, we don't want to do that. We want to go the other way. We want to go the stupid way. That's what we want to do, right? Donald Trump wants to go the stupid way. Not the smart way, the stupid way. Because unfortunately, in the days of internet, doesn't matter who's the smartest, it's who's the loudest. And the loudest person gets all the attention and not the smartest. Back in the days, it used to be if you didn't know shit about a topic, you'd sit down, shut the fuck up, and listen to the expert. And now, you can have a PhD astronomer telling you that there's a fucking comet coming down, it's gonna crash, and it's gonna fucking annihilate the planet, and some fucking asshole's gonna stand up in the back of him and like, well, I read on Facebook that you're a liar, and that's it, and that's where the conversation ends. And you cannot argue with someone like that. You cannot argue with someone whose brain has been rotten. You cannot argue with someone who has completely devolved to be a fucking idiot. There's no way to argue with idiots. No matter how many arguments you present to these people, there is no arguing with them because there's no logic. Logic doesn't exist in their tool box. The only thing that they know in their toolbox is telling people whatever they call people and then believing Donald Trump. That's all they believe in, right? The flat earthers, the anti-vaccine people, anti-science people, anti-medicine people, basically anything that's anti-modern advancement in the world is what MAGA represents, right? Fucking Trump decided he's going to cancel. He wants to pay a French company that has at least $1 billion worth of lease for what do you call, for windmills, right? To power up our grid with windmills, offshore windmills. He wants to take that $1 billion that was invested, that was with a lease, basically give him back that money, and then he wants to give another $1 billion to the coal industry. The coal industry that is almost fucking non-existent and dying in this country. Like, someone make fucking sense out of that. I remember when coal miners were excited when Donald Trump got elected, and then fucking coal power plants got closed, right? He closed coal power plants, and he's not willing to invest into anything that is better for the world. He just wants to invest in things that will trigger his MAGA fucking cult to cheer on to him. There's really no sense. That's it. That's how he is. So at the end of this little blah blah blah, my conclusion is that Donald Trump doesn't give a damn about people, and the only thing that he wants to put money into is things that are going to convince his MAGA followers, his cult, of the old ways, that the old ways are better for some reason, and cut any advancement, any scientific breakthroughs, forget those, because they don't understand it, because they're incapable of grasping those things. And he is also incapable of grasping those things, right? So if you don't know what you're talking about, everything is a conspiracy theory. And what better way to fight to fight that is to just go stick with the old crap that you already know, like coal. Like, I don't understand why Florida isn't covered with solar power cells everywhere. Sitting here waiting at a train station, and there should be there are a bunch of little awnings here. Each one of them should be covered with solar power. They can produce electricity. They can power the station. We got plenty of sun all the time. Disney supplies a lot of his own power from solar panels. Why can't a train station? Why can't the government of Florida? Why can't we invest more into solar power? Because that's what scares it. The unknown scares MAGA. MAGA is scared of the unknown. They're scared of their own shadow. They cannot leave their home without a gun because their own shadow scares them. And that's where I'm going to end tonight or today. Thank you for joining me. How many other people have there? Oh, let's see, votes. Let's see. Time to impeach Trump. And I have 75% yes and 25% no. So it looks like it's shifting a little bit. Because when I did this poll about a month ago, it was 60-40. So now I got 75-25. So, and I'm sorry I couldn't read your comments because I am driving. So now I'm stopped so I can see making world I am peaceful makes us peaceful. While making Iran peaceful makes us peaceful. Yes. Let's see. I don't know about you, but my tax return was higher than with Biden. Okay, well that was Mad World. Well, the tax return with Biden was under Trump's policy. Biden has not put a tax policy. That was still Trump's policy. So if he changed the policy, then yes, that's maybe there's a benefit. We're gonna find out. I haven't done my taxes yet. As they have a little bit of overtime, we'll see how that 0.5 of the overtime is gonna work out for me. Let's see. My tax return didn't exist. Actually, made real money, and I owe taxes at the end of the year. I don't live at the home with mommy and get tax returns. Let's see. My tax didn't exist. I don't know what that means. And then Larry, Neil, say hi. All right. Look at comments. Your tax money is going to school anyway, so why does it matter? I think you missed the whole point, Mad World, when I said that there should be more money invested into education. People who are educated tend to be more peaceful, and they tend to think outside the box. They tend to coexist better with others. People who are uneducated are fearful of everything. They don't understand so many things, and everything makes them, I don't know, anxious and fearful. And that's why I think investing in education should be a top priority. What do you think China was doing this whole time? They invest in education. They literally invest more money in education than anything else because they understand the benefit of an educated country. I mean, they are world's second now largest economy. Maybe they'll overtake the United States pretty soon because they're coming up with inventions, and they obviously they did stole a lot of inventions, or they copied a lot of inventions that were created by Americans, which Americans stole a lot of inventions that were created by the Japanese. So if we really want to talk about who stole something from who, let's look at that from serious point of view. But China is a leader in electric vehicles, for example, right? Not everyone is a fan of electric vehicles. I get that. I don't have one. I'm hoping that my next vehicle will be electric. Not a Tesla, but something other than Tesla. And the Chinese came up with a wonderful electric vehicles, and everybody who drives them tests them out. They said that how Tesla feels economy comparing to the BYDs that are coming out of China, which are still illegal to own in the United States, but maybe soon they can let them in so that we can have an opportunity to buy those vehicles. I would love to buy one. Why not? Why the heck not? But anyway, I gotta go because train's coming. Gotta pick up my daughter. You guys have a wonderful day. Thank you for tuning in. We have 71 votes, 73% yes and 27% no. If you just joined, just click. We'll give 1 minute for more voting. Maybe if you guys want to vote, let me know. I enjoy these polls. I like to know what's going on. And at this point, I'm going to say thank you for tuning in, and hope to see you guys tomorrow or the next day.